So, we all know about a bunch of people who call themselves explorers who hopped in a boat and incidentally discovered what is now known as Canada. There, along with its rich land full of animals and forests, there also happened to be a bunch of people who the newcomers called Indians, or, more endearingly, savages. So, through time and narrow-minded thinking, the Indians were stripped of anything and everything they held dear. We've seen how they, the newcomers, killed men, women, and children alike, killing thousands of First Nations peoples within a few years. Here's a glimpse at how they attempted to pulverize their culture through the future of the First Nations people. We'll see how the government of Canada took First Nations children from their homes and forced them into residential schools to learn how to be servants to the white people. One particular residential school in BC is the Kelowna Residential School. It's not the worst nor the best school out of the mass in Canada, but it is still a part of our history. Here's its story. On June 1st, 1890, the first residential school was built on the Kamloops Indian Reserve under the reign of Michael Hagan, who was a Kamloops newspaper editor and a Catholic layman. The school lost two services, the Oblates and the Sisters of St. Anne, in 1891, which forced Hagan to combine the girls and boys into one classroom. This led to the scandalous rumors about boys visiting the girls' dormitories and to the removal of the children and the foreclosure of the school. It was then taken over in 1893 by the Oblate missionaries and the Sisters of St. Anne. Then it was rebuilt and opened in 1923. The structure contained full kitchen facilities, laundry, separate dormitories, staff living areas, recreation rooms, and, of course, a chapel. In the 1940s, as a part of the children's learning experience, they were forced to build a gymnasium. The children who attended the school were from all over British Columbia, including the coast, northern BC, the Okanagan, and Shuswap. Brought along rough roads and cattle trucks after being chased down by priests and Indian agents in remote areas, most being taken by force, the children were placed in an abusive environment, being beaten, verbally abused, and sexually abused. They were being taught the basics of learning, only enough to be proper servants and farmers to those who were not of Aboriginal descent. The Kamloops Indian School finally closed in 1977 after the National Indian Brotherhood formally ended the federal government's control over Indian education. Today, the Kamloops Indian Band and several Native organizations own it, and businesses use it to serve the needs of the Native people. It is now called the Chief Lewis Center and is a historic landmark in the history of Kamloops and of Canada.